Hey, hi, and hello there, lovies. Welcome back to Talks with Her. OMG. As the sun is shining, I hope it's shining wherever you are. Unless it's nighttime, of course, which that would be sort of weird. Anyway, we're not going into that, okay? So, as the sun is shining, I do pray that this particular episode finds you in good spirits today. How y'all doing? I hope that you are well. I hope that you feel good. You feel vibrant. I know good and hell well you better look good. I know no matter how you feeling today, you look good, right? Right? Now, let us get into it because this is what we came to do. So, if you were with us during our last episode, then y'all know we was talking about dad and all of dad stuff and how dad be dadding, right? And so we left off talking through something that, or basically prepping to talk through something that is very difficult. So this particular topic is near, dear, and raw. Okay, so I want to make this disclaimer that this is going to be a tough one, y'all. A tough one for you to hear, a tough one for me to deliver. Okay, so I just want to give you that disclaimer, that loving, gentle warning that this is going to be a very difficult topic because today we are going to dig into what to do when mom and dad or mom and or dad are just perpetually toxic. Like we've tried, right? We walked through previous episodes on what to do with mom. We've talked to moms, right? She's whatever she is, and then she just reverts back to her back to herself. You all had what you thought was a good communication, good conversation, and then she just reverted back to some things that were harmful to you. And same thing with dad, right? You thought you were on a better page with him, and then he just reverted back to harm for you. So the reason why this is a difficult topic is because that is where a lot of you have landed. You're like, okay, Mo, because I'm seeing your emails, I'm getting your feedback, I'm reading your DMs, and you're like, Mo, I am using my voice. I have had these conversations with mom. And I think we're in a loving place for a few months. And then, boom, it's right back to some bullshit. Right? Or I am using my voice, Mo, and I've had these conversations with dad, but he is just very, 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 very difficult. I will leave from there feeling one way, and then the next day, the next week, the next month, it is back to the same old mess. And it's just really difficult to crack the code of what is happening between dad and I. I'm seeing your your DMs and your messages, your emails. I'm seeing all of those things. So I understand where you are now, and I want to say that globally. I understand. I see what's happening. I see the patterns that you're telling me that, hey, I am using my voice, but these people who I come from, these people who I am attached to by DNA, they are just consistently draining and bleeding my spirit. They're just wringing it out dry, no matter what I do. And I'm tired of trying to forge forward in a relationship with them. Aren't I the child? Shouldn't they be parenting me? Shouldn't they be leading the charge about bettering our relationship? Why am I doing this? And in my time of doing this, I am being vulnerable because I keep hoping that it is improving. And here I am back in this same hole because they have let me down emotionally, harmed me psychologically or emotionally once again. So, what in the hell do you do when your parents are perpetually, constantly toxic? What do you do? What do you do with that? Like, how do you be healthy? How do you have a healthy life? How do you have a healthy sense of self? How do you have healthy relationships with other people when your parents are perpetually toxic? Well, let's get into it. Again, I give you this disclaimer that this is a hard topic. Not just hard in terms of, what you're going to hear, right? You might be listening crying. I might be talking to you crying because this is a hard topic. Because I know where your heart is. I know why you're listening to this. See, deep down somewhere, you're hoping for hope. You're listening to me right now, clinging on to every word, hoping that I give you a tool or a glimmer of hope. See, this is why this makes this so difficult. And that's why I said you might be crying on your end. I might be crying on my end because I know that. I know that you are listening, hoping you're just simply hoping for a glimmer of hope. You're hoping that something that is said during this podcast today will give you a tool. It will give you more insight on hopefully taking the toxicity away from your parents, hopefully just turning their entire sense of self and being around and getting them away from being toxic to now magically being better parents to you. So it's hard truth time. And again, this is hard because you might be crying at the end of this. I might be crying at the end of this, but we're going to cry together, okay? Because the hard truth is that sometimes you can't work it out with your parents. See, sometimes the pathway to love between you and the parent has such a huge barricade up. And the barricade is their own trauma, their own insecurities, their own holes. And they just don't have the ability to love you properly. Now, that's different from having capacity, right? Everyone has capacity to do anything that they want, but they just may not have the ability to execute. It's a huge difference, okay? So, what do you do when that finds you? When you are in a situation with a parent that is just perpetually toxic, no matter how much you talk to mom or dad, it just always goes back to a painful place. We've already dug into why a bit, but let's dig deeper, right? Typically, when mom or dad is in a place where they're just perpetually toxic, and I mean just perpetually toxic, like no matter what you go through in your life, you are trying to have a relationship with them, so you try to include them in the things of your life. When you have a perpetually toxic parent, you are going to have a harder life. Struggle, survival, these things become your second nature, so much so that your spirit sort of gets buried up under all of that shit because you are just used to surviving. You're used to parenting yourself largely. Even if you had other adult figures around that, served as parental figures for you, you still are used to organically taking on the responsibility of parenting you for yourself. So you may lack or have a disadvantage when it comes to your ability to be vulnerable, right? Let me make it plain for you. This is how it shows up in your life. When you have parents that are perpetually toxic, you likely have very bad financial habits, or you have very stringent financial habits, like you have impeccable financial habits, because deep down inside, your parents created such a fear of stability for you, so you work yourself to death, or you just can't keep your shit together out of the same base of fear, which is fear of instability. See, now you're an adult now. You're not a child anymore. But when you were a child, they created instability and it was frightening to you. So you now go through your adult life either being super vigilant about things like your finances or super reckless. Either way, at a certain point, you're going to come to a burnout. When you burn in both end, either end of that candle, you're going to come to a burnout. And that burnout is going to feel a lot like a breakdown because you realize that even though you're not struggling in terms of living impoverished or, just really outwardly having difficulties, you're struggling internally because of the same thing, that fear of instability. And that fear was placed there by your parents. And it shows up in your adulthood because it was first planted in you as a small girl. So it shows up in your finances. It also shows up in your relationships. It shows up in the men that you choose. You're either going to be not trusting or too goddamn trusting. If you're not trusting, you likely push men away a lot. You have a lot of difficulty in your relationships with men because you just don't trust them. You're the woman that does the pop-ups and the drive-bys. Buy his job, buy his house, buy his this, buy his that. Why? Why are you sitting outside of that man's house? You might be sitting outside that man's house right now as you listening to me. Girl, go home. Do you hear me? If it's you, if you sitting outside that man's house right now while you listening to me, take your ass in the house. Okay? Go home right now. Do you hear me? Now, the reason why I want you to go home and the reason why I want you to get away from that man's house is this here. You already know what you know. You know that you don't trust that man, and you know that there's a reason that you don't trust that man. See, you picked him not trusting him. But now, let me bring this home. You're not bad. You are not bad. And don't you dare place a moment of shame on yourself for picking that man knowing that he's bad. You have perpetually toxic parents. So it created an inability for you to trust. Not trust him, but trust your damn self. Because yourself told yourself way back when you first met the dude, that he wasn't the one. But you didn't listen. You didn't listen to yourself. So you see, it shows up in your relationships with men by you continuously denying the truth that your spirit is always telling you. Now, that's you that doesn't trust. Now, you that trust too damn much is showing up in your life because likely the man that you with right now is a narcissist. Yeah, I know. Everybody is throwing around that term. Child, if you let YouTube tell it, everybody got narcissistic personality disorder right now. But no, and for real, if you are the woman that's too trusting, you're likely very successful, very ambitious, very put together otherwise, but you're too trusting. So you have the same core issue that our other sis has, the one that don't trust at all, the one that's sitting outside the house right now that better be taking her ass home. You got the same issue she does. It's just flipped. You're too trusting. See, and in the same context, you're watching this man dismantle your sense of self. You're watching him tell you things that you know good and hell well ain't true. You're watching him take you through a cycle that is dragging you almost outside of your body. You're almost having an out-of-body experience because he is dragging you damn near through the pits of hell. And he's doing so because you're too trusting. You keep thinking that he gonna go back to the person that he was during the love bombing stage. And he is. He's always gonna go back to that person because he knows that's what works. And when he goes back to that person, the part of you that is too trusting relaxes because you feel like, yes, this is it. But then he gets out of that particular phase and the rest of the phases crank up. And now you are back to being frazzled, dazzled, and razzled. See, you're too trusting. Why? Because your parents are perpetually toxic. That's why. I know you wanted me to blame that man. And hell, the truth of the matter is I do blame him. It is his fault. It is his fault. He knows what he's doing. He knows that he is exploiting your vulnerability in that area. Oh, he knows. So it is his fault. But it did not start with him. It started with those folks of yours. So what do? I told y'all this was going to be a hard episode because it hurts. See, these are real truths and they hurt. You're making bad decisions. You stuck. You stuck in a job. You stuck in a community. You stuck in a relationship. You stuck. You're constantly trying to do too much to try to get people to understand you, to get people to respect you, to get people to like you, to get people to validate you. You're stuck and it hurts. The reason why is because your parents are perpetually toxic. Now, it's important for you to identify what this perpetually toxic looks like. What does that look like, Mo? We talked about it a little bit, but here's something for you to take with you. This is what it looks like in real time. You go to mom or you go to dad, and you've practiced, because we've been working on this, so you practiced. You already practiced using your voice. You already practiced, using your sadness as a superpower. Using your vulnerability to really articulate your truest desires. You've practiced and you getting good at it too. Go girl. Yeah, I am. Ha! You getting good at it too. So you decided that it was time to take it out and use it on a crash course. So here you are sitting in front of mom, sitting in front of dad, and you are using your voice, honey, and you doing good at it too. And she nodding, he's nodding, and then he starts to use his voice, or she starts to, explain that, okay, and she's seeming like she understands, right? They look understanding. Typically when someone's sitting in front of you nodding, you get the idea that they understand what you're saying, right? Right. So they're saying a few words that help you to understand that they do get it. They understand exactly where you're coming from. And then, without you even knowing it, they invalidate every fucking thing you just said. They say something like, well, I completely get it, and I mean, you are very sensitive, but you can be very fill in the blank. Now, in all fairness, you didn't say anything about them, right? Because we've been practicing using the voice. And remember, the voice is not about the other person. It's about you. It's about what you need. So you didn't say anything about them, but they sure did slide in that quick little jab on your ass, didn't they? And then they finished it off with a laugh or a smile. And, well, you can be, how stubborn you are. Well, how combative you are. Well, you're too emotional. Hell. And maybe you caught it when they delivered it, but maybe you didn't. Either way, in that split second, they invalidated every bit of vulnerability, power, and poise that you set in front of them. That's how perpetual toxicity, that's what it looks like in real life. Now, it can also look like them saying not much of anything, just nodding and understanding and saying, okay, daughter, okay, love, okay, baby, or whatever they call you. We're going to work on this. I'm going to do better, okay? You say, okay. You leave from that table or that meeting feeling hopeful because they just acknowledged what you need and told you that they are going to work on making it better. That is so good. And now, the next time you talk to them, it's back to the same bullshit. Back to a lack of accountability. Back to putting off their emotional lack of intelligence onto you. Back to projecting their inefficiencies and insecurities onto you. Back to projecting their sense of entitlement, because they're entitled. They feel like because they are your mom, they are your dad, that they are entitled to you in whatever capacity they need you in, whether that is to guilt trip you for your life decisions, whether that is to gaslight you, tell you that your reality ain't reality, whether that is to dismantle your sense of self completely by making whatever they feel, need, or are doing more important than you. Straight up invalidating you. But this is what perpetual toxicity looks like in your parents. So, it was more important for me to spend the bulk of our time together during this particular episode helping you to identify what it looks like. Because the next part of what I'm getting ready to tell you is very simple, short, sweet, and to the fucking point. How do you deal with the perpetually toxic parent? You don't, love. Yeah, the pause was intentional. I will say it again. You don't. What you need to do is put up a boundary. And that boundary must be sky high. Okay? The boundary doesn't just affect you, it affects everything and everybody around you. It affects the rest of your family as it pertains to their relationship with you and with your perpetually toxic parent. It affects your world. If you are a mother, it affects your children. If you are married, it affects your spouse and their relationship with your parent. It affects everything, but it is necessary. You see, we talked about hard truth time just a few minutes ago, so let me give you another hard truth. Mom or dad, that perpetually toxic parent, has already shown you that they are perpetually toxic. They have already shown you that their trauma does not give them the ability to love you properly. They have already shown you that they do not have the ability to make the decision to not allow their trauma to affect you negatively. They've already shown that. If you really dig deeper into this, they've already shown you also that they don't have the ability to properly love themselves. If you really dig deep into their life, there's something about their life that doesn't look very loving and healthy either. I assure you of that. They may look amazing on the outside. They may be, very prominent, prestigious in their community, very successful, but empty on the inside, miserable on the inside. They may have also a perpetual inability to forge healthy relationships with others. See, this is not siloed. If they are perpetually toxic, you are not the only area in which they're perpetually toxic. Something else in their life isn't going right. There are definitely holes where health should be. That's emotional health, financial health, physical health, spiritual health, mental health. There's some holes. It's not just you. It didn't start with you. And guess what? It's not going to end with you. So your job and your responsibility right now is to cut it off. The boundaries need to be sky high. I know that's hard. I know it's tough. And I know right now, as you're listening to me, your brain is spiraling. What the fuck is she talking about? Cut off my parent. I can't cut off my parent. That's going to affect my kid. Who's going to help me get my kids to school every day? I can't cut off my parent. My parent is helping me financially. I can't cut off my parent. My parent is my conduit to my brothers and sisters and my aunts and uncles and I can't cut off my parent. My parent is controlling this aspect of my life. I can't cut off my parent. I need my parent for this or that. I know. But the hard truth is that if your parent has shown you that they are perpetually toxic, if they have continued that cycle of receiving your vulnerability and then completely disregarding or dismantling it several times, if they have shown you that every single time you fill your heart with hope that you are safe with them, they completely destroy that hope. And now you're stuck in the house all weekend, depressed, shades down, you ain't showered, Your kids running around acting crazy because you are somewhere in a hole, down and depressed because of mom's perpetual toxicity or because of dad's perpetual toxicity. Oh, no, ma'am. The truth of the matter is, you have to very quickly come to a point where you don't give a damn what else it's going to cost you to put up boundaries in this relationship. Because the mere presence of this relationship is costing you your damn sanity, honey. It's costing you your life. And you don't deserve that. You want visibility for your heart. You want to feel embraced just for being your authentic self. You want your real authentic self. If your authentic self is someone that is, very emotionally open and vulnerable, you want to be embraced for that. You don't want to be cut down and your vulnerability be weaponized by the very people that you share DNA with. That is damaging. You are being damaged. Yet you think you owe any other human being your demise? You think that you need to continue to be damaged? For what sake? For what sake? So I'm gonna stop it right here because I told y'all this episode was gonna be heavy. The next one may or may not be even heavier because next time we come together, we're gonna talk about these boundaries with these perpetually toxic parents. Now, we're going to move on to the rest of the family, but the parentals are so important. So very important, because you are going to quickly discover that whatever is happening with the rest of the family, it starts with these parentals of yours. So that's why we got to spend a little extra time on them. Now, I've given you a lot to think about. I know. It was on purpose. I love you. Listen, if you're listening to me right now with tears streaming down your face or with a tear-stained face, let me say something to you. This is hard and it hurts. But you, 10 years from now, are you're going to thank you. See, you don't necessarily know it right now. You don't. You can't see it right now. You're sitting in your car or sitting at work or wherever you're listening to me, and you got tears running down your face, or you had tears running down your face, so now you got a tear-stained face. But I assure you that the you 10 years from now is going to thank you for making this decision that you're making right now. It's necessary. You deserve health. You deserve joy. You deserve peace in every area of your life. And do you know that peace is not always unproblematic? Peace is not always unproblematic. Sometimes you have to do hard things to achieve peace in your life. And if you are a person that has a perpetually toxic parent, yes, you have to do hard things to achieve peace in your life because you've been discounted and discredited so many times in your life. So the building up of that voice, the building up of the discernment in your spirit and the confidence of your soul, it is an exercise that is continuous for you. It doesn't make the person that has perfectly healthy parents any better than you. Actually, it doesn't make anyone any better than you. Eventually, we're going to talk through how that's actually your superpower and what to do with your superpowers. But right now, I want you to know that yes, it hurts. Yes, it's hard. But you will get through this. And you will thank you for making these decisions at this time in your life. Now breathe, because this was a lot. And I know that. I know that, okay? I want you to go breathe. And I want you to go do something good for yourself right now. No matter what it is, just go do it, okay? Don't judge yourself. Just go do the shit. Got it? Until our next time together, I want you to know that I love you. I really do. You are so smart, so powerful, and so strong. You don't even know the half of who you are yet. Honey, have you met you? I want you to know that I love you, but not as much as you should love yourself. Bye for now, lovies.